Oh, good morning. So I'm doing an Amazon review. They hit me up. I've purchased 2 of these products. And basically, they just wanted a general use review. So I couldn't get my phone to work today, but as you can see, hopefully it's clear. This isn't an installation video at all, just a general review. But it's the Hopkins flex mount brake controller for trailers. It's the model 47297, and I couldn't get it to upload onto the Amazon to do the review correctly. So like I said, we're not going to actually do an installation of this. It's pretty straightforward for any of you that have done the installations before. And if you haven't, it's straightforward. There is a little LED display you mount wherever you want, and then you have your controller. And this is pretty much what you're going to find in your package. And this is the brains of the operation. So for any of you that have run the old time delay cheap parts store controllers, you know they never work right. You need heavy braking, you set up for heavy braking, and it'll work great. It causes surges every time you tap the brake. And then when you come down to, say, a parking lot or backing it into your RV parking or campground, every time you tap that brake, it's a hard surge or hard lockup. Well, the Insight doesn't work on that time delay system. It works on a swing pendulum. And it's got the ability to set trailer weighting in comparison to your vehicle. And once you have that set up, you can set up your actual power for braking. And then with the swing pendulum, if the brakes aren't needed to apply that hard, it only applies what you need. So it'll actually apply power in slowly. It'll hit the point where the pendulum actually starts to draw back, and it just eases the braking on it. So you don't get hard surges. And I went 8 years or so with an older time delay in my truck, hated it. And I installed one on my Expedition, and it worked flawlessly. And finally I broke down and bought one for the truck. So I'll just show you some of the views of what it looks like. So this is your basic controller, and it's relatively small. It's about 1 inch wide, 1.5 inches, 2 inches long, sticks out about 1.5 inches. Some of the generic functions you'll have is your manual input, and you can actually hear it click. That's activating the trailer brakes if they were connected. You have a sensory switch there, and right here you have your power sets. Climb up onto the top and you'll be able to see this completely. So this is your manual brake check. The S button operates your basic power levels in reference to the weight of your vehicle to the trailer. So you can go up, and this truck weighs about 9,000 pounds, trailer weighs about 5,500. So you can see it goes all the way up to, let's do that again, goes to 7. So I'm usually right around the 3 to 4 mark. And then your buttons on the other side are your power levels. So this increases the amount of power you're going to produce to your brakes. Now actually when I tow, I'm somewhere right around at the 50% level. And the beauty of this system is you don't get the surges that you get with time delay. And, well, simple as it gets, as you can see, I can just reach down while I'm driving and increase or decrease my power levels. And from the driver's seat, you can see the little screen. The problem with the time delay too is that when you have to adjust it, your eyes have to go off the road and turn the old manual turn dials. And that's kind of hard to do when you're pulling a big trailer and watching traffic. This is nice because I can hit the button, go up or down in level, and I see it in eyesight in the corner of the windshield. These come with pretty long cables, as you can see right there. There's one cable that goes to it. Even though I have three, there is one cable here that goes to it. And we'll actually try to simplify this to give everybody a good look and show you how I set mine up. So if you look right back in here, this is the brains of the operation with a swing pendulum, and you can see some of the harnesses, and this is how much extra of the harness goes to each one of these controllers, or the controller and the screen. So you get quite a bit. You can put this thing pretty much wherever you want. Now in retrospect, let's see if we can get you down in here, and we'll throw you some light. Let's see. So there it is again. Your simple brains of the operation. It can only be mounted one of two ways. So it has to be set in a horizontal fashion like that. It can mount on that orientation, or if you wanted to mount it on another side of your vehicle, say the kick panel, these harnesses would actually be facing forward. It does have to sit level, and the way these actually work, see if we can't stabilize the light, there's a pendulum that swings forward and back, and by doing that, when the pendulum swings forward, it says the trailer's pushing you. When it swings back, it says that you're actually dragging the trailer at that point. So you need to increase braking power. So it does it electronically on a pendulum. And you can see it's, well, out of the way. I don't have the big monster box to deal with. And it is a true winner in the brake controller world. I was a huge fan of the P2, the Prodigy P2. And the problem with the P2 was, well, it's bulky. It's about the same size as all your cheap swing pendulum, or your time delays. So I didn't really want to do that. You know, I had the old time delay in this. And sorry about all this. And I actually had it mounted right there, and I've dealt with it for years. It didn't work very well. I actually hated it, and I always wanted a P2, and I was gonna purchase a P2 Prodigy, but I actually decided to go back to the Insight. And I've ran P2s in the past. I think they're a great product, but I love this Insight because I actually installed it in on a Expedition that we have. And well, the problem with the Expedition, and I can show you, is, well, for me, I'm 5'11", and as you can see, the only place to mount that in an Expedition would be right here. And for me, that is actually an okay thing. But my significant other is 5'1", and she has to drive like this. And as you can see, because she's so short, she would be up against the controller. So it really left me with very few options of where to mount it. Mounting it in on the center console wasn't going to work. And I wanted something that was going to make this thing tow flawlessly. And it is only an Expedition. And we do pull a pretty decent sized trailer. So I was looking around I actually did a Google search for a P2 Prodigy, and it came up with the Hopkins Insight, made by the same company using the same swing pendulum technology, but they really give us the ability to move things out of the way. Now, again, like I said, these swing pendulums have to be mounted in a certain orientation to work. The old time delays, you could put them upside down, you could put them vertically, you could put them horizontally. Well, you could put it in a center console. So here you go. Nice and comfortable from my viewpoint is the screen again. And it really just gave us a way to not have knees into this. Now, on this one, you will not be able to see it because this swing pendulum is mounted actually up in here, right in this area here, up about this high. And the only way to get to that is to take this off, and you still wouldn't be able to see it. You'd have to look way, way deep down in here to find it. A little cold. So the generic idea is every brake controller is great. The cheap one will get me through the day. And it will. I had one for 8 years in my big truck. My last truck, I had a Prodigy P2. Loved it. It was only a Dakota, and we were pulling around a 26-foot enclosed race trailer with a race car in it. So, you know, that was way overweight. I mean, the truck said it could handle it, but the brakes on the truck couldn't handle it. And we put a P2 in my mom's F-150 for their tent trailer. And, you know, 3 years ago, we actually installed the Insight into our Expedition, and it works flawlessly. I can't tell you how many times I can say that, but it does. There are no surging, no hard braking, no under braking. I've never had it going into a fault mode, and I've never had to call tech support to Hopkins and resolve any issues. I believe the first one I purchased for our Expedition was probably, I think it was $150. And I purchased it on Amazon, and then, I don't know, about a month ago I ordered one for my truck. And I'm gearing up for next year to do a lot more camping, towing the trailer, and not always will I need the big truck to pull the trailer. Local trips, I do want to use our Expedition. The easiest way to put it is if you're backing into a driveway and you're in upslope and you have kids or dogs like me and they want to be involved, they at one point will always run behind your vehicle. Well, you could slam on the brakes, or even just tap the brake, and the trailer will lock up on the time delay. Then that is just an issue, especially if you're pushing uphill, and just creates problems. Now you set your trailer, you're hauling down the freeway, you're doing whatever speed you're gonna do. And you gotta turn up the braking on it. You're realizing it's just not enough. You go through, you turn up the braking power and you're fine, and it's braking nice and neat and beautifully, but it still surges. That surging is hard on your hitch, hard on your couplers, hard on your suspension, hard on your brakes, and even harder on your tires. Now take it where you're going from open, flat land to rolling hills. And you're in a straight line rolling hill. It's always going to have a surge or not have enough brake. Then take it to the next level. Now you're coming into a small town and there's, some traffic. Every time you touch that brake, it's going to start surging. And it looks ridiculous from the outside. I've watched people do it all the time, and it just doesn't feel good in the cab. Now try maneuvering through a campground. Every time you tap your brake, you're still at the same power, so you're always reaching under and adjusting that power level. It's not a great way to do anything. With this Insight, it only applies the brake you need for any given circumstance, and it will pull braking away when it starts to feel that you're slowing down too fast, or your trailer's starting to drag too hard. So it's always adjusting, and it's very smooth. You would think that it'd be kind of notchy because of the swing pendulum moving around. It's not notchy, it's very smooth. You can literally forget that the vehicle's behind you as far as braking with this system. Easy to install. I think on my truck I spent a little bit more time because I had to pull the old brake system out, and I did some other work under the dash. But it was about an hour on the Expedition. I was looking for premier places, but in actual installation time, not messing around, it takes about 30 minutes, and it wires in on the same wiring system as the old swing pendulum.